Okay, so I wanted to make a video talking about my Fireside Story Sessions experience because it was insane, and most people who watch this probably aren't even going to believe me, but I can assure you that everything I'm about to tell you is 100% true, and I'm not lying at all, because I have my friends who were there as proof, and I have other emblems who actually saw all this stuff happening, so please don't hate on this video. I'm just trying to share my experience with all of you guys. So I got to the venue at 6:45 in the morning, and I was in for the show until 1:30, and the show didn't start till 2. So we were waiting in the hallway outside the rec center rooms that we were in for the show for so long, and I remember freaking out the whole time I was sitting there about, like, oh, I wonder what they're going to be like in person, because this was my first time meeting my heroes, and they got me through one of the hardest years of my life, and I was just so ready to meet them, so ready to hug them, and everything. So every time somebody would walk into the concert, me or my friends would hand them these flyers that we made, and well, I made them the night before, and they said, friends come and go, but brothers are forever, hashtag E3 forever, and it was a picture of the boys hugging, and I made those for everybody to raise during Love Will Be There. And so everyone, we passed them, we wanted to make sure that everybody got them. Everyone had them, even parents that were there. We wanted as many people as we could to hang them up. I think that I made like 200 of them or something, because that was the maximum tickets that could have been sold for the show. So after that, we were there for a few hours, and so the boys got there at about 11 something, 11:30 I think it was, and I was parked in the spot I guess they wanted to park the bus. So we were, at this point we all had been moved into this room, all of us into this little tiny room, which wasn't too pleasant, but it was okay, I guess. And all of a sudden I'm looking out the window and I see this man walking towards my car, and he's walking around it taking pictures of my car, and I was just like, what is going on? Like, why is someone near my car? So I was, to my friend Amanda, I was like, Amanda, look at that guy, he's taking pictures of my car. Like, what? I didn't even process that he could have been with the guys or anything, because I thought that would just be crazy. Then all of a sudden that guy who had taken pictures of my car had come in to the venue and said, whose car is that? And I was like, that's my car, why? And he was like, can you please move your car? And I said, yeah, are you with the boys? And he said, yes. And I said, and you took pictures of my car? And he said, yes, and I will show them to the boys if you please move your car. So I went outside and I moved my car, and I came back and I was like, all set, so you're really going to show those to the boys? And he said, yes, I will, I'll show them to the boys. So at this point I was dying, because the boys were going to see my car, and I was like, what? So that was already amazing. So then we got let into the venue, and because I had got there at 6:45 in the morning, we were fourth in line to get in, and so I had front row seats kind of to the side of Wes, but still in front. I was like in front of Wes, but still partially to the side, and it was amazing. The boys came out, they started singing, and Wes made eye contact with me for a reason, for the chorus of Reason, and my heart melted. I was just kind of lost in, like, I was like, oh my god, like, he's right there. So I started to cry, and I was crying for pretty much the whole concert, but I kind of toughened up a little bit because I didn't want him to see me cry. So then we were out at the we were in the venue, and the boys were doing question and answers, and they would not call on me for the life of them. So finally, I kept raising my hand. Keaton was calling on a bunch of people. So finally, Wes tapped him on the shoulder to make him stop, and then Wes called on me. And earlier that day on my Snapchat story, I had saw from yet the day before that they went jet skiing around Irondequoit Bay in New York, if you know where that is. And I saw my boat docks, and I saw my development where my house is in their Snapchat story. So I was freaking out because they were so close to my house, And so I asked him about it. I said, were you jet skiing in Irondequoit Bay in Webster the other day? And they said yes. And then I said, that's so cool, that's 5 minutes away from my house. And then Wes was like, that's so cool. And I was like, I have a boat. And my friend was like, she has a pool too, you should come over and go swimming. So the boys were like, wait, seriously? And we were like, yeah, you can come over and go swimming. So Wes was like, let me ask and I'll get back to you on that. So I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. He's not really gonna ask. So then the concert was over, and Wes had made eye contact with me a few more times throughout the show, and I was crying, and I'll insert clips from the actual show at the end if you want to see them. But because I had a blue wristband, I was one of the last meet and greets, so I had to wait the whole time while I was waiting for people to go. Wes kept walking over to me and my friends, and he kept talking to me, and at one point he said, I asked my tour manager and my their bodyguard, I'm not sure what his name is, don't kill me for not knowing, but I'm still to this day not sure what his name is. So he said that he asked him if it would be okay for them to come over and go swimming at my house for a little bit, because we had technically invited them during the concert. So they asked me to write down all of my information. So they had my phone numbers, they had my phone, not my phone, they had my address, they had literally everything. They had all of my information. The only other thing they needed of mine to steal my identity would have been my social, because they had everything else, literally. And so then I gave it to Wes, and he kept walking back from the meet and greet spot to his water and food he was eating during the meet and greet. Classy Wes. But so then he kept walking over to us and talking to us like we were normal people, and I was just like, they do this? Like, this is insane. Like, I couldn't believe he was just talking to us. Like, I'm nothing to look at or anything. Like, so I was amazed that he was even considering coming over to my house to go swimming. But anyway, so then when it was finally my turn for my meet and greet, I walked up and I was standing on this line right before it was my turn to actually, like, go up and talk to them. So all of a sudden, Keaton looks over, he sees me, and he just opens his arms, and Wes gets this huge smile. I'm not sure if all of you guys are probably familiar with Wes's cheese and smile. That's what I call it. And he had that smile on his face, and I walked up to them, and the first thing I said to Keaton was, you guys saved my life. At that point, Keaton got this look to his face that was just, he looked like he was sad almost, kind of, and he hugged me, and then he gave me this really fast hug, and then I went over to Wes. And this is the part that not many of you are going to believe me about, but it happened, and you can choose to believe me and you can choose not to believe me, but I have about 4 or 5 girls who saw it and who were amazed by it, and they can vouch for me. If not, they could vouch for me if they ever needed to. So I walk over to Wes, and he opens his arms and he just hugs me. And it wasn't a normal hug. It was the type of hug where he held me and he was rubbing my back and he was whispering in my ear, he was hugging me, and he said how he thought I was beautiful, which I still think is a lie to this day, Wesley. But he was also telling me how worth it I was and how I meant the world to him. And it was amazing. And he, then right before we broke our hug, which lasted literally like a minute and a half to 2 minutes, just the hug, which is for some people their entire meet and greet. He kissed me right here as he was letting go, and I got so speechless I couldn't even ask for my meet and greet, the pose that I wanted, which I was thinking of the entire time I was there. But I got my 2 hugs with him, and then we took our picture. We just smiled, and they both hugged me like a group hug for our picture. And then we took our selfie, and Wes Walked away, and I walked in the hallway, and I dropped to the floor, and I started crying. And all these emblems started coming up to me and asking, what happened in there? What did he do? What did they say? What happened? Like, why are you crying like this? And I couldn't even get the words out to tell them what had happened. So then we were all waiting outside by the bus. And the security guard came out and he was like, I will bring the boys out. You just have to stand behind this table. So I stood behind the table. And then Wes came out and he's like, I gotta go get Keaton. Because at this point, Keaton had went to the bus. Safe to say, Keaton never came back out, which I was really bummed about, but it was okay. And then Wes came back out. And we were all standing in line. There was about one girl in front of me, and then it was my turn. Wes looked up, and he looked at me in the eyes, and he smiled. And then it was my turn after the girl was done with him. And I walked up to him, and I got a hug, just like the one I had gotten at the meet and greet. He just rubbed my back, he held me. It was like there was no time, it just stopped, and I didn't have anything to do but hug him. And he was whispering in my ear again, and the one thing that I will never forget that he said was, I was crying, kind of like I was sniffling, and I said, Wesley, please don't forget me. And he said never. And then I said, can I get a selfie with you? And he said yes. So I went to take my selfie, and he kissed me on the cheek in the picture. Then I walked away and I started crying, and then I was crying to my friends, and then all these girls, right when they said Wesley had to leave, they were all like swarming him and stuff. So I just patiently walked up there for another hug with him, and I hugged him and I told him that I'll miss him more than anything, and he said, I'll miss you too. And so then he got back on the bus, and I thought they were leaving, so I walked to my car, and I was just standing on the side by my door waiting to get in, and all my friends were like, come on, come up here, you need to be with us, because I was crying my eyes out at that point. Sorry, I'm like crying right now. And then I was standing there with my friends, and I was like, oh, they're leaving, I'm gonna cry. And then all of a sudden, the security guard comes out of the bus, and he goes like this. And I'm looking at my friend Caitlin, who was right in front of me, and I was like, is he talking to you or me? So then I went like this, and he went, yes, you. And he pulled me in front of the bus. He told me that he couldn't let Wes back out, but Wes wanted to make sure that I knew that life was worth living, and that good things come for everyone, and when it's my time, I'll know it's my time, and stuff like that. And then he told me that he wanted to make sure I knew that he loved me and stuff. And it was a really personal experience talking to this guy, but then he told me that good things are going to come for me. And I said, what do you mean? And he told me that I just have to trust him. And then I hugged him, and I made him promise me that he will always take care of my boys, because these boys mean the world to me. They literally do. They mean so much to me. And I couldn't thank Wes enough for what he did for me that day, if it was out of pity or if it was that he really cared about me. It made me the happiest girl alive, and I couldn't thank him enough for it.
Yeah, my world it turns to see you smile. You're giving me a reason. You're giving me a reason. We could be one night, just for one day. We could be one heart. We only got one life, so let's get away. Just for one day. Love will be there, love will be there. And time will tell. Who really cares, who really cares? Cause also the ends well. Listen, I think you went though, and I can't get you out of my mind.